Let's see what is going to happen as the drivers prepare to do battle at Mount Panorama. And here is how the grid lines up ahead of the 22-lap strong race. Pole position, Kanata Kawakami for Lexus, put in a great lap time right at the end of the session. His compatriot and former world champion Takuma Miyazono for Subaru is alongside. Then it's Ryota Kokubun for Mazda heading row 2 with Nabatani for company. Next up is Tomoaki Yamanaka, a stalwart of the championship in the Toyota. He's got Lucas Benelli in the Mercedes AMG for company. Then Saya Suzuki in the BMW M6 with Sasaki in the Genesis alongside. Next up is Sato in the Audi, not a particularly brilliant qualifying for them, but the big shock is Ferrari, winners last time out, only 10th on the grid for this one, and championship leaders Porsche, down in 11th place with Artemosso making a mistake on his lap. Gotto completes the 12 driver strong field. As we said, 3 different types of tyre compound available to the drivers. Kanata Kawakami here, Jimmy, going on the soft early, seems like he wants to get away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that is the strategy if you're out front. Use the soft, use that clean air and just try and drive into it. The thing is, because no one's challenging him on that stint, no one's challenging him on the soft tyre there, that's going to be, he's going to be very happy to see that, because it means he can just use that tyre to the best of its ability. Miyazono, the opposite strategy behind for Team Subaru, going for that hard tyre, as does Kokubun. So they're going to be the cork in the bottle for the guys in the mediums behind on that first lap over the mountain.
Certainly are. So coming through Murray's corner, the final turn of this Mount Panorama circuit, drivers are in place. There's Artemosso. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders to try and hold on to Porsche for their championship lead. We're about ready to go racing then, as the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup is about to go green here at Mount Panorama. Action is about to begin. World Series 3 here in Tokyo is underway. Kawakami leads the field down towards the first corner, followed by Miyazono and Kokubun. Through Hell Corner we go, on the run up the mountain straight and in towards the mountain section we go for the first timer. Start there, of course, which is spreading the field out courtesy of the rolling start, meaning that we shouldn't see too much action in the first couple of corners, but as we come over the crest of the hill it begins to tighten up as we head through in towards Griffin's Bend. That's when we'll see drivers getting very close to one another and maybe trying to launch a move before we go into the one-at-time section.
I say that already, look at the gap between Kawakami and Kokubun, who's got through past Miyazono. They're really struggling for speed on that first lap, dropping down from P2 to P4. Kokubun out front now on that hard tyre. Nabatani, the first of the medium runners, eager to get through as well. But look at the gap, 2 seconds already to Kawakami out front. That's exactly what he wanted.
Amazing start there from Kanata Kawakami. You can see here Kokubun, he's a bit of a cork in the bottle. Nabatani's on the medium tyre, so though they're not the fastest compound, they will be that bit quicker than Kokubun. Miyazono also on the hard tyre, struggling to get them up to temperature in the first few corners. Keep an eye out also for Yamanaka in the Toyota Supra. There is Kawakami pulling up nearly 3 seconds by not even the end of the first lap. Through the Forest Elbow we go and down the Comoros Straight for the first time, and you can see how nose to tail it is throughout the rest of the field. Down the Comoros Straight we go. This is when we see the slipstream coming into effect, and when we should see the medium shot runners breezing past the hard shot runners. Here is Yamanaka on the back of Miyazono. That Subaru's not ever been particularly quick in a straight line. Miyazono in the Toyota draws alongside his compatriot and goes through into pole position before we even reach the end of the straight to in towards the chase. Oh, and wide there as well for the Honda of Nabatani. Kokubun ready to try and take profit of it, but Nabatani just about manages to hold firm in second for now.
4 seconds is a gap on lap 1. Kawakami's just gone, right mate, I'm going to win this here. He's just left the field behind. Obviously, long range yet to go, but that's about the start you can have, I think. Meanwhile, the battle for second and the rest of the hard and medium runners are pretty much all stuck together as we come onto Mountain Straight for the second time now. This is where we get to see the straight line speed of the cars. I've been taking a drink for every time we said that Subaru's going to struggle in a straight line, because that's going to be a big factor in this race.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, not a particularly brilliant start for the likes of Mosso and Ishida. They're still 10th and 11th as Yamanaka breezes past Miyazono heading in towards Griffin's Bend. Absolutely nothing. That's it. He's just a sitting duck at this point, isn't he? So Kawakami here, he's trying to break away from the rest of the field, isn't he? Well, he's already done that, 4.1 seconds. I think he's trying to channel his inner Igor Fraga. If you remember, what Igor loves to do is lead from the front, doesn't he? Doesn't like to get bothered by anything behind, and well, he's clear as makes no difference from the rest of the field. He's not going to be bothered at all.
Yeah, we had Igor Fraga here at our lovely venue, hyping up Kawakami before the race up on stage. Maybe those words poking out a little bit, of course. Here are drivers, you can see the bottom left-hand corner of the screen soaring away in the wheel. It's hard work, this, on the sim. You wouldn't think it is. You can really work up a sweat trying to hustle these cars over the mountain here as they come down one at a time. Replay now. This is Copenhagen and Navatani. I think he's the overtaking still. Let's see what he runs from the replay. Let's see it again. He was through there, but I think he overshot it, as you said. They went a bit wide. Copenhagen tried to come back, and it's like they just about have got in contact there. Very nice to driving, but Navatani said he was going to go into the left hand.
Yeah, fantastic. From Navatani to be able to hold that one going through that chicane. Seemingly while further back, as I said, also in the machine, they're not making the progress that they would have wanted to. I wonder, and I'm not a strategist or a racing driver by any stretch of the imagination compared to these drivers, but if you're looking at Mosso and Machine, surely I'd thought a sensible way would be to get onto a quicker compound tyre and go and make as much progress up through the field as you can, as we see Miyazaki getting off the hard tyre at the end of lap 3.
Miyazaki then opting, as I say, just to box and get off that tyre. It's always been the way in these events that the hard tyre is kind of just large. You don't want to be on it at all. It's one of those things where you want to try and do that in a good spot in the race. So when you do go onto a fast compound tyre, we're about to see what Miyazono and Suzuki are going to bolt on a fresh set of Michelin tyres. Not quite sure the compound's going to be just yet. Still waiting for them to make their way to that pit box. There is Miyazono. So what's he gone for? Soft tyres. Okay, that is an interesting strategy. So what he's done there is given himself a massive amount of space. There's no one in front of him now. And now he can just try and hop that because he knows if he's racing other cars, they get in the draft. He can't keep them behind him. So he's going to try and basically gain time.
It's not worried too much about Suzuki as well, because Suzuki, though he's come out relatively close to the on circuit, he's on the medium compound of time. And let's have a look here at Rocco versus Yamanaka up the mountain straight. This is the third position then, so side by side these two drivers going. Yamanaka just easy pass once again, and also Benelli getting overtaken there by the Audi Sato, so that's up into fifth position as well. Now the field begins to spread out a little bit. You can see the medium shot runners breaking away from the hard shot runners. Aside from Cockburn, they've still got Sato all over his rear wing.
Yeah, good fight here. Fourth place between Mazda and Audi. Interesting, the gap from Kawakami. Sato much quicker than exit there. Runs into the back of Cockburn. That's about as rude a hurry up as you can get there from the Audi driver. And now they're going to be drafting down the straight. The bump I saw down there. Looks like they're maybe using the old stock car tactics there, trying to gain a bit of time on the cars in front. But Sato go from there, goes and look at the mirror too. Benelli's there, so up the inside goes Sato, up into fourth place. Does he yet? Copeland runs a bit wide. Can Benelli take advantage of that? They're now just about side by side. I think that Copeland comes out ahead, but that's what happens if the racing is so close. So if you lose one position, you end up losing another one just because you're offline. Copeland there deciding, you know what, I've had enough of hard tyres, I'm coming into the pit lane. But what I was going to say before all that started is the gap in the front stopped growing. And Navatani there, who was sort of giving it all that in qualifying, is now on his medium compound tyre and matching Kawakami on lap time. Well, about 2-3 tenths slower a lap. To be honest, that isn't so bad around here.
No, normally you expect the gap to be about 1.2 seconds or so between the different compounds of tyres. So interesting to see there for Kawakami versus Navatani. Keep an eye on that. Cochran's off the hard tyre. He goes on to the mediums then for his middle stint. Gotto also coming into the box in the Chevy Corvette from the hards, likewise on to the mediums. Now Cochran ahead there of Sayo Suzuki. That's pretty important, but he's going to be able to retain that position as he comes up the mountain straight in towards Griffin's Bend, because this could upset Cochran's race here. He wants to try and run in clear air. Down the straight we go. Suzuki's on the outside. He's got the slipstream and he's got the place really easily there. And that's not what Cochran needed. The crucial thing when you're coming out of the pit lane, you're trying to get the undercut compared to some of the other drivers. You need clear air. You don't need to be battling with something that's out of position compared to you, and that is going to really put a spanner in the works for Cochran and Mazda.
Yeah, this is all because of mathematics hitting at the right times. Here's Mosso and Hashima, current first and third place in the standings at the moment. They're going side by side, just about keeping things there. Championship standings there. This is simply making the race at the moment. But a drag race all the way down Mountain Straight. So this is great to watch for these guys. And great battling, of course. They are swapping positions on this every corner. This is just a little bit of time. Also does go up into the final of the machine. So yeah, very close these guys.
Then getting the better of the Ferrari driver. Here's Kawakami still continuing on. Look at the the sector side. So they're pretty okay still as it stands for now. He's just, as we said earlier on, driving a nice clean race. The gap up to nearly 6 seconds. And you can see there a look at the tyre wear as well. His front significantly more warm than the likes of Nabatani, Yamanaka and Sato on the medium tyres who haven't pitted.
Here the car from the corner, the tyres are screeching. And actually, it was slower for the last sector than both Nabatani and Yamanaka behind on the medium compound tyres. So I think he's already, Sato, he's really worn those fronts. We heard him actually just before going to his race with Sasha saying he's a bit nervous about tyre wear in this car. And we're seeing that already. They're struggling, that front end, really pushing on. So understeer if you're unfamiliar, basically. Think about it if you're about to hit a wall. If the front hits the wall first, it's understeer. If the rear hits the wall first, it's oversteer. And at the moment, the front is really pushing out. He can't get the car to turn as much as he wants it to. And those tyres are screeching in protest. And it's only going to get worse as the tyres get more warm.
Yeah, if you want to sort of more literally something like that, go to a supermarket, fill up your shopping trolley, run to the front end, and then try and turn it. That's understeer. Kawakami on board within the gap coming down to just under 5.5 seconds. It's still a nice comfortable pushing for him. He's just got to drive as cleanly as he possibly can, try and eke his soft tyres out for as long as is viable. He doesn't want to stay on it forever because obviously they're going to fall off the cliff and some of the performance is going to go. And if he's on them, he's going to be a sitting duck later on in the race. He's got to time this tyre change to perfection. And Kawakami, you can see him there nice and smooth on the street, just one solid movement going into the corners, not trying to soar away at the wheel. Just trying to keep that gap at a constant. So this is what we usually see in these GT World Series races. It starts off pretty exciting. We get different drivers on different strategies all sort of working themselves out. Then we get a little bit of a lull sort of in the middle stages. And then once it all works out with strategy later on, you've got different drivers on different tyres who have pitted at different times. That's when the race will really begin to come alive. I don't think Kawakami can be boxing on this lap or indeed the next lap, but he's certainly going to be on his radar before too long.
Interestingly, Nabatani is matching Kawakami in the centre. So keep an eye on that gap. Here is Suzuki, the BMW, driving up past Tokyo. Of course, both these guys are pitted already. And Kingston's decision to pit early maybe not the best one for him. I think it's overtaken in a straight line.
Yeah, that's a real overtake. We saw an overtake there coming in a couple of laps ago. Problem is to get ahead of Suzuki, and then Suzuki's got ahead of him in the turn again. So Cockerman there now 1.5 seconds behind Suzuki. Crucially, he's out of the slipstream range. Benelli for AMG, Sasaki for Genesis and Hashima for Ferrari, all in the pit lane then here on lap 6.
So second and third both lapped quicker than first place on the last lap. So those medium tyres now are starting to come into their own. The soft tyres start to wear. So in comes Benelli going onto that soft compounder tyre now. Let's see what he can do in this stint. Comes out in traffic behind. I think that was Kokuben and Suzuki. So he's going to drive up to the back of these guys and have to get by on the circuit. So not ideal for Benelli, but we'll see if he can make the best of it. So watch Kawakami come over the mountain for the 6th time. Those front tyres now really starting to get to the danger zone, especially down here. You do not want those front tyres, that front right tyre in particular, just looking down there to 24%. And that for a corner like this, Forest Elbow coming through here, that front right tyre is pushing on. You're just trying not to put the car into the wall on the outside. That's going to get tougher and tougher. And I won't be surprised if we see him pit very soon.
Yeah, I wondered if it would be actually the end of this lap. Come to think of what I said earlier on, I didn't think it would be, but it's a tyre where it's really gone down quite significantly for Martin Kawakami here, and I'm sure he's been thinking about that either this lap or not the very next lap for the Japanese drivers. Are coming through into the chicane we go. Now does Kawakami box at the end of this one? Just to remind you, Lexus second in the point standings, 2 points behind Porsche. Points awarded for the top 6 drivers. Kawakami decides to come in then into the pits. A bit of a late call there for him, but all is fair and okay. They practice these pit entries all day. And Kawakami then, where does he go now in terms of the strategy? Does he go to the hard tyre? Does he try to go onto the medium tyre and try to weather the storm a little bit? Either way, he's going to lose the lead here. Nabatani and Yamanaka, who are yet to pit in this race, continue on, and they will take over at the front of this one. Kawakami in the box. We still wait for the decision on where he's going in terms of his tyre strategies. He comes in for a new set of Michelin tyres on his car. Goes to the medium tyre then for the middle stint. That seems quite sensible for him. So he's going to try and go for a long middle stint here in this race and then run the hard tyres at the very end of this one. The thing is, what this does now then effectively kind of locks in the strategy for the likes of Nabatani and Yamanaka, because they need to be the soft tyre at the end, because their nearest competitor in theory is going to be on the slowest compound.
So interestingly, Miyazono, of course, who pitted earlier on for those soft tyres, a bit earlier in the race, fastest man on the track at the moment, also has the fastest lap of anyone in 2:06. Very impressive in race trim with that fuel in the car. It's now 5 seconds behind Kawakami on the road and is on the faster tyre. For now, though, of course, the advantage that Subaru has being a little bit lighter than the other cars out there. It does go through the tyres a little bit slower than the other cars out there. So you might wonder, oh, it's not fair, this car's slow in a straight line. But it's fast in other parts of the circuit. This is what makes the manufacturing series so unique. So many different brands, different approaches to going fast, and they're all using, of course, our balanced performance system to have a very similar lap time. So it's always very, very cool to watch as we awesome onboard shot with Miyazono. I mean, surely, if you're unfamiliar, one of the Gran Turismo greats is Takuma Miyazono, and with Team Subaru as well. Been a long-time Subaru driver, taking this manufacturer to the series win a couple of times in the past as well. I wouldn't want anyone else in this car. I think maybe Mick out. Come back, Mick, we miss you.
Don't forget about the QR code on your screen at the moment for more information on the drivers. If you want to find out a little bit more about the men behind the wheel of the cars at the moment. I was trying to work out a way of thinking
That would be a great That would be amazing.
Certainly would. So here is Miyazono then. Soft tyres for him. Of course, they're going to wear that a little bit when they're starting this one, as you can see, on the hard compound. He's running the softs in this middle stint of the race. He's had a nice bit of clear air at the moment. The gap between himself and Kawakami pretty stable as it stands for now, but Miyazono will be starting to eat into that.
Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, 2:1.3, 2:1.4, sorry, last time out. Of course, Kawakami with the box 2:3.7. So the gap has is stabilised around 5 seconds between the two. So I think Kawakami is using that medium tyre, and Miyazono is coming to the end of the life. And let's look at the background there. That's scary to see, isn't it, when you're in a little Subaru trying to make your way down the straight. Lots of cars in the background. Meanwhile, Amatani still leading, 3 seconds of it over Yamanaka, Kokuben and Suzuki. And this battle continuing, apparently. Kokuben goes back past Suzuki in the Mazda. They're being clever about it, though. They're doing it on the straights. They aren't fighting in the corners. These guys, they know how to race each other. They know how to be quick over a race distance. One is different being quick over a single lap and over a race. And these guys have raced together for many, many years. So definitely a little bit of collusion there between the two, I'd say. But I imagine that will fade away as the laps fall down to the end.
Yeah, a little bit of the crowd. They are here so far on Kokuben and Suzuki as it stands for now. Keep an eye on him because he's not far down the road from these two drivers as well. You can see him there just flashing past the screen in the Mercedes AMG. 2 seconds now is the gap between himself and the two Japanese drivers. But also is on that softer, quicker combo time. So you can see our out of El Corner. Right onto the curve. Not the course of the advantage of the 6 leader as well. Also behind the BMW. Also on the right hand side. Last part of the BMW quite nicely for Kokuben.
Spectacular overtake, but it works. If it works, it works.
The good thing is they're not costing each other too much time, compared to the likes of Italy, who will be bearing down on them, as we said before, too long. Interestingly now, one of the top three who haven't pitted, Sato, comes in on the medium tyre. I'm fairly sure he's going to go to the hard tyre and then run the softs at the end of this race if he wants a chance to podium. I could be wrong.
Seems early. The rear tyre's failing a little bit on that Audi, which I'm not surprised. I've heard that car is behind with the rear tyres. But just to go back to Suzuki and Kokuben, I mean, they're not crossing each other time, they're gaining each other time. They're using that slipstream to just slingshot past each other, gaining a few extra kph per straight, as they will describe it on their own. So watch out for these guys. This might be a bit of an interesting strategy. Sato there going on to that soft compound. Now let's see if they can keep those tyres alive for a couple of laps. Does Miyazono go for one more lap on those soft tyres? We'll find out as Sato's come out just behind Sasaki, who goes up into 8th place for Team Genesis, and that is not what Sato wanted there. He wanted to be ahead.
No, absolutely not. He wanted to be on the soft tyre, as you said. But the problem is, it's so much one at a time as you come up from the mountain, you just have to sit behind him unless you dive to the inside. There's a bit of contact there, and Sato just backs off the throttle and allows Sasaki to hold on to 8th place. That was a fair old dive on going through the left hand. You don't make many attempts going through that car. That was a little bit of advance partner. Sato not able to make that move stick, but now he's just hemorrhaging time, and this could prove to be quite costly if he just loses more compared to
stewards having a look at that as they do any contact, but I don't think it's going to be. Oh my word, Sasaki there getting it all wrong, and we're going to see an overtake down towards front, but we're not. Sato having to wait a little bit longer now, and this is what Sato was he was scared of this, getting sucked behind the guy in front on normal tyres. He was trying to keep it together, just crossing at times. So frustrating with the driver behind there, but that's what you're going to do. That's racing, and sometimes using warm tyres on this way is just as effective as using new tyres. When Sato now pulling alongside, I didn't think such a opposition there for Sasaki. Sato up into P8, but that was a slow out lap there for the Audi driver.
Nice good overtake there from Sato then, as he makes the position, goes up into 8th. Wrong in terms of the strategy as well, so he went on to the soft tyre. I think he went to the hards, proved the line up, absolutely nothing at all.
We all knew that.
Takuma Miyazono, 6th position for him as he comes into the pit lane then from the soft compound tyre. Let's see which way he is going to go. He'll be on the hard tyre, just to remind you, so presumably this will be his medium right to the end of this race. As we said, the crucial thing for him is he needs a nice bit of clear air. He's into the box at the moment. Interestingly, Shiba and Mosso not far adrift of Sasaki for 8th position. Just to remind you, points on offer for the top 6 finishers in this race at the moment. Given the fact that they are 1st and 3rd in the championship for Porsche and Ferrari respectively, they will not be scoring any points so far here tonight.
We'll see. The race still got 12 laps to go. Miyazono, I think, is strategy-wise, is playing this very well. He's putting himself in clean air, and he will be able to see that Nabatani and Yamanaka, heavier cars, have managed to do 10 laps. It will be 11 laps next time by with this medium compounder tyre. This Subaru, which is a bit better on its tyres, will be able to go longer than that. So yeah, medium to the end now for Miyazono. And again, it's that mini-map on the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's the gap he's got to the rest of the field. So we can just drive into that gap now, try and get those laps, basically qualifying laps now for Miyazono for the rest of the race, if he has any chance of catching the leaders. Kawakami and Nabatani in the front there, the ones we're sort of watching for once the pit stops are all said and done. But interestingly, we still have 2 drivers left in the pit.
Yep, Nabatani and Yamanaka really eking out those medium tyres, aren't they? They want to, for as long as they possibly can, so presumably they're going to either go onto the softs and run for as long as they can on those and then do a really short stint on the hards at the end of the race, or they're going to go onto the hards in the middle and then go onto the softs at the end. Let's wait and see what will happen for those two drivers. Also coming into the box as well, and the tyre wear, they're pretty good, but they're not too bad.
Some look at me, they're checking out the big screen and seeing what everyone else is doing there. That's one of the advantages of being here, of course. You can have a quick look up to the monitor and go, oh right, it's that tyre, is it? Oh, he's got that tyre wear, is he? I wonder how he's doing. But Nabatani, I've got to say, for someone who is relatively unknown to us, doing a great job so far. Those rear tyres looking a little bit worn, especially that rear right tyre, which will be under load right now, coming through the cutting. You're doing a great job, very mature drive so far, with only half the race down at the moment.
Yeah, so Nabatani, the Honda, doing a fantastic job, as we said, podium for that team in Montreal, if you remember, for the first World Series event of the year a few months ago. The Honda's trying to capitalise on their home support here tonight in Tokyo. I just love this onboard shot, it's so fantastic. Behind the lead down this section of the circuit. It's just one of your buckets.
Yeah, I love Tim. Of course, one of our German commentators, Mr. Florian Strauss, won this race back last 12 hours. He never talks about it. But yeah, I love the race here. Of course, the bike as well. I mean, it's real price of best. But if you want to see one mediocre, it's like 10
Jackson Post, I'm sure. Happy about that. So we're at the halfway stage then of this race. It's going to come alive, I'm sure, towards the very end of this one. So Nabatani, Yamanaka, the only 2 drivers left to pit at this one. Everybody else, as you can see, has made at least 1 pit stop. Benelli and Sato's tyres doing all right so far, but Nabatani does come into the pit lane at the end of the halfway stage, and Yamanaka also following suit here as well. So what Yamanaka needs is a really good middle stick. Let's see whether these two will diverge in terms of their strategy, and crucially, where is Kawakami going to emerge? He's sure to end up with the lead because was it 25 seconds, isn't it, for the pit stop, and he was 15 seconds behind. So nice lead there for Minata Kawakami. I think, if anything, he'll be extending that advantage. So this is going to be quite nice for Kawakami, but just to remind you, he does have to run another set of tyres, the hard tyres, the slowest competent tyres, right at the end of this race, which possibly some other drivers will not have to do. Namatani goes soft for the middle stints of this one. Yamanaka also following the same strategy. So all the drivers, despite the fact they've started on different competent tyre, hang on a minute, here's Cockerman, who's managed to drag alongside Namatani then and goes through into second position.
What a nightmare for Namatani. That's it again, same thing. He does not want any traffic, and just that could be absolutely ruined that. Only a 10th difference there. Just a bit quicker on the inlet, that wouldn't have happened. But again, now he's got to try and pass him on the mountain. But interestingly, the gap before any pit stops is about 5 seconds. It's now 10 seconds to Kawakami. So really opening it up. Look at the from Tomowaki, Yamanaka, unfortunately stopped the compound tyre, but Nelly's tyre significantly more forward earlier than the Japanese driver. Samurai is clear by Italian commentators. Oh, into the wall there for Benelli. That's going to really put him on the back foot. Possibly leaving another threat here from Yamanaka, who's got great traction and great momentum. Has he got the opportunity to use it though? It's going to be one at a time through here, surely. He's going to have to bide his time. Sato's there ready in the background to try and take profit of it as we come down through in towards the forest elbow. All of that momentum, but no room to use it there for Tomowaki Yamanaka down through the left-hander. And this is going to be a case of when and not if for Benelli to be losing possibly not one, maybe two positions. Down the Conrod straight we go. Yamanaka has got the slipstream. He'll have the overspeed here. Benelli's car's quick in a straight line, but I don't think it's going to be any match for the newer soft shot Yamanaka, who pulls alongside down the Conrod straight in towards the fast right of the chase. Benelli loses 5th place. Yamanaka's up a position there as well, and Sato is still lurking in the background, ready to take advantage. He did well to keep him there, but it's got to be a pit stop now for Benelli, surely. Into the bits he comes.
I thought he was diving to the inside there.
Mega lunge there. No, not quite coming in the box there. I think it's about time to get off those tyres. So soft tyres coming off. We'll let you know what he goes on to once the pits. Let you know what he goes on to once the pits. Gets up to the stall. So here is the replay of, I think this is Namatani on Kokoban. Around the outside, got the inside now for the left-hander, easier. The Kokoban also, I think, understands that right now, so this is the fight he can be in. Drop behind, try and put them and save the time that way. But again, a clever move there by Kokoban, I think, to sort of let that one go.
I tell you what, it's Kokoban and the likes of Yamanaka, not too far apart from one another actually on track as well. Suzuki in the middle of those two drivers, and Yamanaka on the quick soft compound tyre, new soft compound tyres compared to the medium shot Suzuki and Kokoban at the moment. So he's going to be slowly creeping onto the back of them. He's already taken half a second out of those drivers on this lap alone in the first sector.
Yeah, exactly. Just shows the difference that the tyre advantage gives you around it. Of course, a little bit of skill in there as well, but the tyres do play a big part of that. Here is Kokoban, a very experienced driver at his light race. He was actually at, I think he won the 2018 Nations Cup event back when it was done a little bit differently back then. And remember there, I think the man, this guy's quick, but ever since then, always is he checking out, always thereabouts. And Mazda is no different. On board with Yamanaka now. I've not seen him for a while, I've got to see him back.
It is good to see him back. He's always a driver who provides a lot of entertainment. He's giving you a wave down there at the bottom left-hand corner on the screen. He's driving nice and calm at the moment, and he looks to be in a position to count on the drivers in front of him before too long here. So let's keep an eye on Yamanaka's progress in the middle stages of this race. This is the thing that the likes of Yamanaka and Kawakami, since they've got so much experience and they've been in this position a good few times, they know how to handle pressure in races like this. You look to some of the good drivers on the international stage, like Shiba, Grotto, etc. They don't have the relative experience compared to those around them, and that could prove to be to their detriment in the rival men environment.
It's different to say every time we do this. It's different racing from the big crowd having two of my English guys all focused on the racing. That's me. we see him move from Yamanaka? Yeah, he's going for it straight away. No time lost there for Yamanaka, up into P4, and now he goes onto the back of Kokuba. But I think Suzuki let that happen in the background though. Sato starting to gain as well. I was going to say he did the fastest lap until just then. Yamanaka setting the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 2-minute .2. That was faster than something he was qualified by.
Amazing job from Tomoaki Yamanaka. Suzuki just wants to really get into the ball going through the left-hander of the cutting as well. Just a bit of a kiss there for him. And Kokuba now with a face full, or a real figure, I should say rather, on Tomoaki Yamanaka. And again, this is a case of when and not if. You can't really make a move going through here, but we have seen Yamanaka very close. You can see him right on the ragged edge of the region. Through Boris Elbow we go, down the back straight, and Yamanaka is sort of a breeze past the Mazda. That Mazda in a straight line with his rotary Wankel engine, I'm not going to say that one again. Down this straight we go though. Yamanaka's going to pull to the inside. Kokuba's not going to try and defend this one too much, I don't think. As Yamanaka, different strategy, newer tyres, and indeed the Japanese driver in the Toyota up through ahead of Kokuba in the Mazda.
Yeah, pretty nice move there. I think he made the right choice to do it there and not go for London Forest Elbow. I think he could have made the move there, but he had the draft, and that would have gained him a bit of time as well. Although he lost a bit at the end. But anyway, Yamanaka turning into a real contender in this race.
So look at the lap time too with Kawakami. He was some 2 seconds slower a couple of times around. A bit of a mistake or something, I don't know, because the lap time was a little bit closer this time around. Kawakami at 2:02.2. Nematani at 2:01.1. Nematani, of course, on the softer compound of tyre compared to Kawakami. That gap was over 10 seconds. It's now down to, what's that, 8.2?
Interestingly, on the same tyre, Miyazaki is one of the fastest guys himself on the medium compound of tyre. It's still in that little gap right now, just gaining and gaining and gaining. So, gap coming down the front, down below 8 seconds for the first time in a while, as Nematani starts getting the best out of that soft compound. Behind him, Yamanaka incredibly fast, but still 3 seconds down the road. So most drivers now on the medium compound of tyre. We think we've seen the last stop from Miyazono, Binelli and Sato. The rest of the field's still owing. So keep an eye on these guys as the race progresses. Collision somewhere.
Yeah, Moto and Shiba colliding with one another. They've been pretty inseparable throughout the entirety of this race. Sadly, for the wrong reasons as well, because they're not in the point standings. And at the moment, they will be set to lose. At the moment, they will be set to lose their positions in the championship. We will have a new championship leader. Let's have another look and see what happened here between Moto and Shiba. This is down what looks like down the straight, towards the right hander. Shiba closing the door. Moto, for my money, was very firmly up against already.
I'd say they could turn in on there. A shame for Shiba, but he was there. You can't pretend from there. So, we'll see what the stewards say. We have a bit of a running joke with the stewards. Well, I agree with the stewards this time around. So,
if you're playing bingo, I hope you can cross that one.
Yeah, I know. It's that. What else can we have? The Subaru style, slowly straight line, rotary Wankel. We've got some good ones.
Yeah, we certainly do. So we're coming towards the business end of this race, and this is where it's really going to begin to hot up, because we've got the strategies to come into play. And we've got drivers coming into the pit lane then at the end of lap 16. Kokuba and Suzuki coming in, so they are going off on the medium compound of tyre. They're going to be going on to the softs. Now they are going to have a lot of pace in the closing stages of this race. Miyazono has made his final stop, as you can see. He's on the medium tyres towards the end of this one. Shiba also in the pits after being on the wall a few corners ago. Grotto coming in for Chevrolet as well. So a flurry of activity in the pit lane here, and a smorgasbord of drivers that are going to be going on to some quick compounds of tyres, which could be proving to be a bit of an upset for some of the other drivers. I'm thinking of the likes of Kawakami, Namatani, Yamanaka, etc. They all owe the hard tyre at the end of this race.
And we've seen that track position doesn't really matter around here too much, because these straights are so long you can just draft by the guy in front of you. But now it'll be a fast finish for these guys. So Binelli, interestingly, behind this back, as is Sato as well, on that hard compound. For Sato, really, that's kind of his race over, and then he's going to come back from that. But Kokuba, Suzuki, Goto, and Hashima has been third level field now, all on those soft compound tyres. Meanwhile, Miyazono has been quietly making moves there on that medium compound tyre. So we will keep an eye on him. He owes no more stops. Kawakami, our leader, does owe one more stop, and more importantly, owes the hard compound tyre, which you've seen is the slowest. So how many more laps can he get out of that medium? He's really burning through his tyres, Tom.
Certainly is, and he's got to try and them out for as long as you possibly can to not lose as much time. You've got to find that right window, haven't you? But you don't want to sell the tyre for too long, and you want to have as much pace as you can whilst you're on it. So if you sell it for too long, you'll be set to lose pace. Kawakami leading then on this one, owns the hard tyre, likewise Nematani and Yamanaka. Is he going to come into the pits at the end of lap 16? Not this time. Oh, he does. Late that move into the pit lane there for Kawakami. That's all okay. He's going to be on the hard tyre then for the closing stage of this one. I'm looking at the likes of Sasaki, Miyazono, at Cockburn, etc. all on the soft compound tyres towards the end of this one. Because, well, Miyazono's a long fact, he's already on the medium compound tyre, but these drivers are going to be on quicker compounds compared to the top three at least.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to now see where they all line up. So in comes Kawakami, of course, our leader. Where is Miyazono in relation to this? This could have been a masterstroke by Miyazono. Kawakami comes out of the pits. Where is Miyazono? Don't see him. I think he's just a bit. 5 seconds is the gap there, so that 5 seconds has sort of helped for the entire race. But Kawakami is now on the slower tyre. It's going to take a while to get some heat into this Michelin hard tyres, and Miyazono already out there, already on some more medium tyres. It's going to be a lot quicker in this first lap.
We've got 5 laps now remaining. It's about a second or so a lap, so it's going to be pretty close here for the podium with Kawakami and Miyazono. Let's keep an eye on that battle and see how it develops. The crucial thing is here, Nematani, Yamanaka, etc. Again, all own those hard compound tyres, and are they going to be possibly set to lose out on the podium in the closing stages of this one? Because they've still got a box, they're on the soft compound tyres, and they're coming towards the end of their useful shelf life. Yamanaka's more worn than Nematani's at the moment, so Nematani may get an extra lap compared to the Toyota driver. We'll see how that's going to play out.
I think using incredibly large tyres, Yamanaka and Nematani, 20 odd seconds in the pits. Now put them down to the fourth position.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Miyazono is the real outlier.
Yeah,
he's on the compound tyre for the closing stage of this one. Don't count out the likes of Cockburn and Suzuki. It's going to take a fair old mission for them to challenge for the podium, but it's not out of the question. The soft tyre is just so much faster, and anything can happen here in these races.
But it is faster. We've seen it really drop off towards the end of the stint. So even if you're quick now, you have to nurse it to get it home. Otherwise, you're going to end up just running out of tyre and not being able to fight anyone. So it is only going that straight. Nematani rocks in. This will be a really good indicator to see where they are. Yamanaka opting to stay out a bit longer on that soft tyre.
That surprises me because Nematani had more tyre life left compared to Yamanaka.
It does. They're in different places. This is Yamanaka on that Toyota. More front biased, more tyre wear on the front right tyre, whereas Nematani in the mid-engine Honda NSX, a lot more tyre wear on the rears, which around here, especially over the top of the mountain, sketchy. So maybe a better idea to go to the hard tyres now for safety.
I think Miyazono's been absolutely minded there. He's going to breeze past Nematani, surely. There he goes, yeah, straight through off into the distance, and Nematani emerges in fourth position. Crucially though, you've got Cockburn and Suzuki on the soft tyre, not far away at all, so it could go from bad to worse here for Honda and for the Japanese driver. Two other cars bearing down on him.
So at the moment, the real fight is between Miyazono and Kawakami at the front. You can see there, we're 3 seconds faster on that last lap, but that does include the outlap of Kawakami as well, so that is going to be a little bit inflated, but we'll see what his time is this time around. But that gap is 3.6 seconds, about 3.5 laps to go. Kawakami in the wall there, because he's really struggling. I think he's just not getting that heat into the tyres, and he knows he's under pressure as well, and that can really get to him from Houston.
Well, this is really beginning to hot up in the closing stages of this race. Nose to tail actually, and Nematani surely is going to be with a sitting duck. It's Cockburn and Suzuki both on the soft compound tyre coming down through this section of circuit we go, and this is where it's one at a time, but down the Conroe straight is where we could see and probably will see some movement being made. I don't think Nematani, despite the fact that he's a very talented driver on that slow compound, hard compound tyre, he's going to be able to do anything to thwart the challenge of the Mazda and the BMW that sit in its wheel tracks then. So down the back straight of the Conroe straight we go. Nematani falls to the left-hand side of the circuit, and Cockburn is surely going to be able to pull alongside him before too long. We go side by side, down the straight we go. Yamanaka's into the pit lane here. Cockburn is into fourth position, into the chase, and keep an eye out for the BMW of Suzuki as well, who's going to look for the outside line. Nematani's going to park the car on the apex and thwart Suzuki's charge for the time being. But will Suzuki have more room and more momentum on the outside? That is absolutely absolutely fantastic. The Sire Suzuki in the BMW as he goes up into 5th position, and Nebatani drops down 2 places in the space of 2 corners.
Yeah, nothing you can do there, just drove clean around the outside of them. So great move there by Suzuki. Yamanaka into the box for his set of hard tyres, comes out 4th place, right in the train as well. And there is Nebatani, just lost a place, will gain one back now from Yamanaka. And I think that's horrible for Yamanaka there.
The positions are really important because it's down to 6th place for the box. You want to get yourself as high up as you possibly can here for someone like Yamanaka. Miyazono is on the ragged edge of adhesion though. 3.3 seconds last time around to give you a bit of a flavour of how different the lap times are. Kawakami a 2:02.1, Miyazono a 2:01.6, about half a second or so quicker than the Lexus last time around was Miyazono. Cockerman even quicker than those two. I don't think Cockerman's going to be close enough. I think he'll be dead on for that 3rd place, but the win may be a stretch too far. It all depends on how these last few laps look for Kawakami in terms of the lap times. We've seen him a little bit under pressure. He glanced the wall last time around. If the pressure starts to get to him, he starts making a couple of errors, that's when we could see Miyazono ready to take profit and ready to try and take the victory.
Half a second faster last lap is Miyazono. That's not enough though. It needs to be a bit faster than that to catch onto the back of Kawakami. You can see that in the same frame for the first time since the start of the race. And it's been a long way round for Miyazono, but Kawakami and Miyazono are still in the places that they started in. 1st and 2nd place right now, with Miyazono on the charge in the Subaru. But behind them is Murdo Kokeman. Now, he only needs to be really within a second. Miyazono start picking up that draft down the straight. The straights are so long here that could be enough for him to catch and then pass Miyazono in the Subaru. Let's get a look at the lap times as they come back through. Kawakami still not yet coming to the line, but it was a 2:02.1 last time around for Kawakami. To Miyazono's 2:01.6.
It's definitely less than that. It's got to be, surely Kawakami's got to be slower than Miyazono. Only by a couple of cents of a second though. It's not much.
Same lap time.
Yeah, 2:02.1 for Kawakami, 2:01.9. So is Miyazono just off the gas a little bit? It's Cochran that's very firmly on it, and he's closing that gap down 2.7 seconds now for Miyazono.
But he's now under threat from Suzuki. I told you these guys wouldn't be as good friends at this point in the race. Kokeman is now starting to defend. Every point counts here. Kokeman going defensive into Griffin's corner there. Running Suzuki around the outside, who's going to drive it round the outside in the M6. He likes that, doesn't he? Suzuki up into P3 there. What a move from the BMW driver. Maybe he's the threat. He did a 2:03 last round, 1.5 seconds faster than Miyazono in front, and nearly 2 seconds faster than Kawakami. He might still have a chance to win this.
2.5 seconds then is the deficit that he needs to make down to Takuma Miyazono there and thereabouts over the course of this lap. 2.5 laps to go in this race as well. Just remind you, points awarded for the top 6 finishers. If it stays as it is, we will have a new leader at the top of the pile because Porsche not scoring. Lexus possibly on for a podium finish here. This is Cockerman versus Suzuki. Cockerman tried to hold the inside line. Suzuki said thanks very much, and I'll go to the outside. Managed to just drive it through that right hand. Better traction on the outside of that corner, despite not being on the grippy part of the racetrack, and got himself up through into 3rd position. So down the Concourse straight we go. Kawakami 2.7 seconds. The gap kind of levelling off here, isn't it? I tell you what, Kawakami's race, if he does win it, that was won in the opening stint where he was able to just drive away from the rest of the field, do an Igor Fraga, as it were, clear off into the distance, and he's given himself that comfortable cushion for now.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a wobble mid-race for Kawakami, but he's sort of come back around now. I think now he knows that I don't think he can catch me. I think I'm good. He's just chilled out a bit there, and he's now just getting 202.5 from Kawakami to Miyazono's 202.1. That's enough. That is enough for him. But in the background, Suzuki and Kokeman still squabbling. They lost a bit of time through that fight last time on the last lap. Not quite as strong as they were before, but I think now, actually, Suzuki and Kokeman are going to be engrossed in their own fight, and they're not going to go after Miyazono. Of course, both these manufacturers, they do have points on the board. They're actually tied right now for points, BMW and Mazda in the standings. Whoever comes out on top there will move up. But this team, Team Subaru, currently not scored. So any points that Miyazono can get, the most that he needs to basically stay where he is. He can't afford to lose anything. Kawakami and Lexus, this is perfect. Porsche are not going to score. They're in P10. Kawakami and Lexus are going to take 4 points, which will rocket them to the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Lexus will be set going into the World Finals in Amsterdam at the start of December. Kokoba and Suzuki under investigation for collision. Has there been something on screen that we haven't seen? You can just see Kawakami. Haven't seen. You can just see Kawakami into the distance. And Miyazono, he's there and thereabouts, but it's not quite close enough. Let's have another look here. Suzuki versus Kokoba. So this time around. Oh, they had contact going into Griffiths, and Kokoba got sent into the wall there on the outside. It was only a half sort of wheel of contact really going into there. Not much at all, but the slightest of touches when you're on the limit like these drivers are, and it can cost you very dearly indeed. Speaking of costing very dearly, Suzuki still just 2.1 seconds behind Miyazono. Down the Conrod straight we go with the BMW driver Saya Suzuki. BMW coming 5th in the standings going into this one, tied on points with Mazda, so they'll be getting the better of them not only in the race but also in terms of the points finishes in this one as well. Just to remind you, 6 points awarded for the victory, all the way down to 1 point for 6th place. So Toyota will be the last of the point scorers as it stands for now.
Miyazono's got saved. Suzuki has really upped the pace there on that last lap. We come on to the final lap here in the Manufacturers' Cup in Tokyo. Mount Panorama is your circuit, and we're on board with 3rd place. BMW, Suzuki at the wheel, the fastest man on track at the moment. He's bearing down onto Kimi Miyazono. 1.7 seconds is the gap right now. We've got 2 big straights here, which is going to be a big disadvantage to that Subaru. Can Miyazono hold on over the top of the mountain?
Well, let's see what happens here with Suzuki versus Miyazono. Surely it's going to be in the twisty stuff going into the Conrod straight where he'll be able to gain that time, Suzuki, over Miyazono. But we know also that Subaru, conversely, is really handy in the twisty bits. You can see him though in front, dangling that carrot for Saya Suzuki at the moment. And half a lap left in this one to decide 2nd and 3rd in this race. It is not over. Suzuki right up against the wall. He's leaving nothing on the table in the closing stages of this race here. But I wonder if it's just going to be a charge that will come a little bit too late. Down in towards this section we go. This is where Suzuki will be gaining time on that soft tyre compared to Miyazono. Down through into the Forest Elbow section, and then on towards the Conrod straight. Kawakami driven an absolute blinder, by the way. He's managed to keep that gap pretty constant at 2 seconds in the closing stages of this one. The gap now down to 1.9 seconds. It's close for Miyazono and Suzuki, but it's not quite close enough for Suzuki to be in the slipstream of the Subaru driver. So down the Conrod straight we go for the final time, and this has been a quite brilliant race for Lexus and for Kawakami. He managed to get into the lead of this one at the start of it from being on pole position, drove away from the rest of the field on the soft compound of tyre, built up a gap of 5 seconds, doubled that to 10 seconds when all the pit stops worked out, and after Lexus took victory in the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their 2nd victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Tokyo in the Manufacturers' Cup. It's Lexus who spearhead themselves to the top of the tables, ahead of Takuma Miyazono for Subaru in 2nd, and Saya Suzuki on the podium for BMW in 3rd place. Fantastic race there. What a drive from Kanata Kawakami. That was absolutely textbook.
You can tell that he is sweating. He felt the pressure on that one. But as you say, Tom, that couldn't have gone any better for Team Lexus. We had Igor Fraga here of his...